Today's file has no defendant, no judge, no verdict. Because for most of human history, none of those existed. No courtroom, no badge, no one with the authority to say guilty and make it final. For roughly 99% of the time humans have existed on this planet, that wasn't a crisis. It was just Tuesday. So somebody stole your food, somebody hurt your family, somebody lied to your face. Who decided what happened next? The first courtroom wasn't a room. It was everyone you'd ever met. In a small hunter-gatherer band, there were no strangers. Everyone knew your face, your family, your reputation. So if you stole, if you lied, if you turned out to be someone who couldn't be trusted, you didn't need a judge to tell you. The group already knew. And in a world where survival meant hunting together, gathering together, defending each other, being cast out wasn't a punishment. It was closer to a death sentence. Nobody needed to write this down. It didn't need a name. It simply worked for tens of thousands of years. Then, everything that made it work disappeared. Around 10,000 years ago, humans stopped wandering. We built permanent homes. We started keeping livestock, land, grain. And for the first time, we started living beside people we'd never actually met. A neighbor 2 farms over, a trader passing through, someone from a rival settlement. Reputation stopped working because a stranger doesn't care what the village thinks of you. So when your cow was stolen, or your land was crossed, or your family was harmed, there was no shared understanding left to appeal to. Only one thing was left to reach for: getting even, yourself. This had a name, and a rule, an eye for an eye. If someone harmed your family, you didn't file a complaint. You struck back, and their family struck back harder. It sounds savage today, but it had a purpose. If you knew that killing your neighbor meant your own brother would be hunted for it, you thought twice before reaching for the blade. The problem was the arithmetic. Blood feuds don't end. They compound. One killing becomes 2, becomes 10, becomes a village that quietly bleeds itself empty over a generation. By the time King Hammurabi had his laws carved into stone in Babylon, entire civilizations were desperate for a way to stop the bleeding. He didn't invent justice. He did something stranger. He wrote it down. Every citizen, in theory, could now know exactly what the punishment would be before they acted. The power to punish moved out of the victim's family's hands and into the hands of the state. That single shift is the real birth of the courtroom you'd recognize today. Not every society had a Hammurabi. Some built something else entirely. In Viking Age Scandinavia, there was no robed judge sitting above the crowd. Instead, there was the Thing, an open-air assembly where free men gathered to settle disputes in public. At the center stood a figure called the law speaker. His job wasn't to decide anyone's fate. His job was to recite the law from memory, aloud, to everyone gathered. And then the people themselves argued, debated, and decided the outcome together. Loud, public, entirely without a king. And in parts of ancient Africa and among the Iroquois Confederacy, justice took a different shape again. Not punishment, but repair. If you caused a death, you didn't necessarily face execution. You paid what was called weregild, a man price, in livestock or goods to the victim's family. A crime turned into a debt. Once the debt was paid, by design, the matter was closed. The feud, officially, was over. Every one of these systems worked, for a very specific reason. They all shared one thing we don't have anymore. The village court, the blood feud, the Thing, the weregild, all of them depended on a group of people who believed the same things, feared the same consequences, valued the same goods. Today, we don't share a village. We don't share a faith. We barely share a neighborhood. So we handed the job to someone who doesn't know us at all. We trust a judge today not because they know us, but specifically because they don't. And yet, whenever people stop trusting that system to be fair or fast or real, the old instincts don't disappear. They resurface. In private arbitration, where people quietly choose to settle disputes entirely outside the courtroom. In the swarm of online reviews and public call-outs that punish a business or a person faster than any lawsuit ever could. An echo, whether we notice it or not, of the oldest court there ever was. The opinion of everyone who's watching. We call the courtroom the natural end of civilization, as if we finally solved the problem. We didn't solve it. We just built a bridge over it, and bridges need maintenance. File closed, for now.